Hi everybody, it's Phil Mitchell from Dentons Digital here. I'm the marketing manager and I head up the pay-per-click department. I'm here today just to give you a few tips on how to optimize your pay-per-click campaigns. So the first thing that you need to look into really is negative keywords. If you go to your keywords tab in your Google Ads account, use the search term report. You click search term report and it will show you all the actual search terms that have triggered your ads. In there you can actually see any terms that are relevant for your business. Any terms that aren't relevant for your business you want to add to a negative list. So you can have a master list in negative library where you create a list that applies to all campaigns, or you can have campaign specific lists, so you can have a negative list for each of your campaigns. A good rule of thumb also is when you're starting a campaign to actually initially start with a negative list. So certain words you know from the gate aren't going to be relevant for your business, such as free, cheap, stuff like that. So add them initially and that will mean that your terms are much more relevant to your business and much more higher probability of them converting into a sale or a lead. One other tip on that actually, the opposite in negative, is to create terms called broad match modified. A broad match modified is a phrase that has a plus sign in front of every word in the phrase, and that means that every word in the phrase has to match the term. It's a good way of getting around issues. For instance, we have issues here where we do marketing for, say, a plumber in Bath. It would come up for stuff just to do with Bath, so Bath tennis, bath such and such. So if you have the broad match modified, they'd have to match plumber and bath. So it's a good tip to apply to your campaigns to get more leads and sales for your budget. The next tip is to bid on your brand. Some agencies and pay-per-click professionals will say this isn't a good idea because you may have SEO rankings already for your brand. But I feel like it's definitely a good idea, especially if you have competitors bidding on your brand, because they're going to be taking position one for your brand. And if they're in the same industry as you, they may be actually taking advantage of your hard work to build your brand exposure. And also the fact that the listings, the way they work, 50% click the top ad, 30% click the next one, 20%, 10%, you get two hits of the same term. So you actually get your paid search traffic and your organic traffic. So instead of taking just 50% and only 30% or 10%, you'll be taking 50 plus 20, so you get 70% or 60%. So it increases the amount of volume you get for your brand searches. The next tip I wanted to say was A/B testing. Always be A/B testing. You want to A/B test your ads to see which ones get the most clicks, but also, which is more important, which ones are driving the more conversions. So which ones are actually driving traffic that are buying your products and services. They're the sort of ads you want to go for. Clicks are important for Google in terms of they help your quality score. So your rankings and your click costs are cheaper if you have a higher quality score. But in terms of a business, conversions are the main thing you want to be looking at. So clicks are secondary, conversions are primary when you're doing A/B testing. Also, A/B testing your landing pages is very important to see if you can improve conversion rates, because the way we manage campaigns here is we take the revenue from your clicks and your keywords, apply that to the keywords in a feedback loop so we can decide actual accurate amount to bid to be profitable for your business. If you can change the conversion rate slightly, it can mean you can bid a little bit more, which means you can get a higher position, which means more traffic and more sales in the end of that process. So it's always important to keep on testing, trying to increase that conversion rate. Any small increases in conversion rate can have massive increases in terms of your exposure. For example, I had a site where we had a logo, trimming off 10 pixels of the logo brought the call to action slightly higher, increased conversion rate 2%, which isn't a massive increase, but it meant that we were able to bid on terms that had high volume competitively. So we were able to appear for terms that had 10,000 volume searches per month because our conversion rate was increased 2%. So don't think just a 2% increase is not a massive deal. It can have big repercussions. The fourth thing I wanted to talk about was ad extensions. You get a ton of ad extensions with Google. Some are good, some are not. You want to go for call extensions if you're in the service, or even if you're an e-commerce site, but mainly service, you want call extensions definitely. Site link extensions to relevant areas. Google does a thing called dynamic site links. You don't necessarily want dynamic site links because they're searching for a specific term and you want to give them links related to that term. You don't want to allow Google to decide that for you. You want to decide which ones are going to be more relevant and drive sales. So using ad extensions is very important. And the fifth and final thing I'm going to discuss quickly is mobile. So always look at your mobile audience. Google a few years ago brought in device adjustments for bids, so you can limit your amount of exposure on tablets or mobile. You can decrease or increase your bids for mobile, tablet and desktop. You want to see how your site's performing on these platforms. Some businesses work really well on mobile because they're call-led and most of their leads or sales come through calls. Some don't work as well if they're e-commerce led. There's another thing to track as well, a bonus tip, so to speak, is Google Signals. What you can do is use Google Signals, which tracks mobile traffic to desktop traffic, because studies have shown that people will browse e-commerce sites on their mobile, but won't actually purchase the item until they get home to a desktop because they feel safer or whatever reason, but they found that that's how it works. So you want to kind of link those two together, because if you're driving pay-per-click traffic to mobile and it doesn't look like it's converting, it may actually be driving customers, but they're buying on desktop. So using something like Google Signals to link that data together is very important. I hope these tips have helped your campaigns. If they have, leave a comment below. We can also, if you feel like it's too much for you to do, we can also manage this for you. Just get in contact, there'll be a link in the description below, and we're happy to talk through your campaigns and any of your other digital needs and see if there's any way we can help you with that. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you next time.